Let's talk about blueberries. Welcome back to Sprung On Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is actor, writer, creative executive, and co-founder of Friend or Flame, Josiah Blount. Josiah, welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I am so happy that you are here. You are such a funny person, and I am very excited to talk about your favorite food. Oftentimes, I think guests are sometimes a little bit apprehensive when it comes to like naturally growing foods because they're like, oh, I don't know, is that going to be interesting? And honestly, they've been some of the most interesting. I hope this isn't adding too much pressure to our episode, but I find them to be fascinating. But I have to know why blueberries are your favorite food. Tell me all the things.
Yes. Well, also, I have to agree. I listened to the bananas episode recently,
Oh,
and I didn't know there were so many kinds of bananas in the world.
can you
Oh,
believe it? I
oh, and
know.
are there that many kind of blueberries in the world? I'd be thrilled.
Well,
I don't
only
think
time
so.
will tell.
No, we'll find out. I love blueberries. Why did I choose blueberries? I eat a lot of them. I got 3 cases. Is it a case? What is it that they
Oh,
come in? A case
yeah, like the container of them.
container, yeah, containers of them.
I don't know. If you have cases of them, then you certainly love blueberries.
Yeah, I genuinely do. I love jumbo blueberries. The bigger, the better. Probably not healthy because I think those are bioengineered, but they're so good.
Mm.
And yeah, I love them. I love them in a cobbler. I love them fresh. I love them in a smoothie. They're my life.
Oh my gosh, blueberries are life. And did you always love them so much? Was there like a point in life where you were like, oof, now's the time for blueberries? I didn't
No,
like them before. I wasn't crazy, or they just had they always been there.
that I was thinking about because I've really been meditating on blueberries this week, and I was
Okay.
thinking, did I eat a lot of blueberries as a kid? I grew up on a farm in
Wow.
Southwest Virginia, and I feel like I don't remember eating blueberries that much as a kid. I have a distinct memory of when I first moved to LA. Maybe I was like 19. I was with my first boyfriend, and I remember we walked into my apartment in Hollywood, and I had a big case of blueberries, and we stood at the front door. Case, I keep saying case.
That's
Continue.
okay. They could be whatever you
Um,
want them to be.
we stood at the front door with the groceries and we opened the blueberries and we ate all of them in handfuls. I don't know why this is such a distinct memory. I think
Oh.
maybe because I was like a young adult and I was like, I'm allowed to buy whatever I want and then I can eat it whenever I want. And then we ate all of them. And I remember looking at each other and being like, oh, why do we just do that? So maybe it's an adult like discovery thing and I'm allowed to buy them because they're kind of expensive. And so I think maybe my mom just didn't buy them a ton because I think I'm the youngest of 5 kids too. So when you have that many mouths,
Oh,
they're not going to
sure.
last long. Even if she did buy them, there's 4 other bigger children that could get to them first. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you might have like one lowly blueberry left over, like the one
Yeah.
that's like smashed in the corner of the little
Little,
clamshell, and they're
little
like,
wrinkly.
Josiah, that one's for you.
Yeah.
Oh no. Are there other items that you especially love them in?
Primarily, yeah. Just love them raw, right out the crate, by the
Yeah.
handful. But I also really like them with honey. If I'm wanting
Okay.
to add a little more sweetness, I'll do a spoonful of honey and a handful of blueberries, and we're happy. And then,
Chef's
I'll add
kiss.
them to a smoothie. And I don't like them in frozen yogurt, though, because they freeze and then they hurt my teeth.
Ah, yes. Okay. I do have a shout out to the history of frozen yogurt episode, and we do talk about the different types of different toppings that are preferred and not preferred. And yeah, so that's a good addition to that one of the unpreferred. I think my top one was like gummy bears. I'm like, I
Awful.
don't get it.
No.
Frozen, they're hard. What the hell are we doing here? Okay, so it's another great addition. Okay, so a purist. This is amazing. You appreciate them how they are meant to be. And of course, to better understand and appreciate our food, we have to know where it came from. You
Right.
know, blueberries are one of those foods we take for granted. They show up in grocery stores or muffins, and we toss them into pancakes without even thinking twice. But when you stop and look at them, they're actually one of the most fascinating fruits in North America. They're small, they're simple, they're easy to eat. But the story of how they got from wild forest plants to global industry is anything but simple. Blueberries didn't just become a supermarket staple. They had to be discovered, understood, cultivated, marketed, celebrated, and scientifically validated. And the timeline behind all that stretches from ancient indigenous traditions to USA research labs to modern day wellness culture. So today, we're going to unpack that whole story, where blueberries actually come from, how they became a farmed crop, and why they've become such a big deal in today's food and health landscape. Picture it. A late spring morning somewhere in the barrens or glacial outwash plains of modern-day northern New England, say Maine or the Canadian Maritimes. Mist is still clinging to the moss, and low bushes are heavy with tiny dark berries that glisten like marbles in the dew. It's so romantic, right? These are wild blueberries, native to the land, thriving before any colonists and long before the word superfood ever came into play. Blueberries have been here for thousands of years. Some estimates say as long as 13,000 years. Indigenous peoples across the continent ate them, but they also wove them into medicine, culture, and myth. Some Native American tribes referred to them as starberries, because if you look closely at the bottom end, that little five-pointed crown looks like a tiny star. According to oral tradition, these berries were seen as a gift from the Great Spirit to help end famine, a symbol of survival and generosity. They were eaten fresh, dried for the winter, or mixed into pemmican, a high-protein blend of dry meats and berries that fueled for long journeys. Blueberries were even steeped into teas to help with coughs or used as dyes and flavorings in cooking. Long before there were antioxidants and marketing buzzwords, blueberries were medicine, food, and spirit all in one. Josiah, so far, our little starberry is a pretty cherished item. What do you think of the name? Do you think that needs more of a resurgence? Is there any other name that you would choose over that? Or are you pretty invested into the word blueberry?
Well, blueberry's a little on the nose. I think
Yeah.
starberry has a lot more magic dust on it, right?
Yeah, I
Some
think
and somebody's
so.
like, they're calling it starberry. Let's call it blueberry. It's boring. I think we go back to starberry. Also, that was a superb delivery. You're so good at this.
Oh my God. Well, I'm
Look,
keeping that into this. That's not getting edited out. Th- Thank you. Yeah, I when I heard Starberry, I was like it's not necessarily intuitive, or I should say as intuitive as blueberry is, but if you think about it, I mean, aside from like orange, a lot of fruits aren't. I mean, like apple, that doesn't tell me necessarily, we know it as an apple, but that doesn't tell me anything about it. So yeah, I like Starberry. I think that's cute.
yeah, it's way more fun than blueberry.
Yeah. It's a little more pizzazz, a little bit more
Yeah.
mystery. Yeah, I'm into it. Okay, so we're campaigning, bring Starberry back, bring it back. Yeah, super cute. So here's the thing. For most of human history, nobody grew blueberries. You found them, you foraged them, maybe you knew the right spot to pick them, but they were wild, unpredictable, and fiercely loyal to their environment, thriving only in acidic, sandy soils and cold northern climates. Early settlers loved the flavor, sure, but they thought the idea of cultivating them was ridiculous. Farmers dismissed them as too delicate, too particular. You couldn't just plant a blueberry bush in your field like corn or potatoes. The soil had to be just right, the pH perfect, and besides, wild berries already grew for free in the woods. So for a long time, blueberries stayed wild, a seasonal treat handpicked from nature, until one curious farmer's daughter and one persistent botanist decided to change history. Josiah, before we move on to our next part of the story, so far blueberries are special, kind of exclusive, a little bit of a hidden gem, if you will. Are there any hidden gems that you like to frequent, either maybe a place in nature, a shop, a restaurant?
Oh, what a fun setup that you got there. Also, a curious farmer's daughter sounds like a Taylor Swift song. She needs to write a song about summer. So
You're not wrong. Well, listen, once we put it out into the world, if she comes up with that song, we
we're
have this as a
suing.
timestamp. Yep.
Yeah.
We're coming after you, Swift.
Yeah,
No, we're not Swifties. We're not Swifties. Don't
no,
worry. We're
no,
not.
big
No.
Swifty here. I love her. That's why I was like, that's a Taylor Swift song.
Oh.
Any hidden gems of mine? A hidden gem of mine is Taylor Swift's library. No, the whole world knows. Hidden gems of mine. I love my like corner coffee shop that, to be honest, I never go to because it's so popular. So I guess it's not hidden either. There's always a line out
Mm.
the door. But in Pasadena, Carr Artisan, I think it's CARR Artisan Chocolate. It's like a
Ooh.
chocolate maker and coffee shop, and it's really cute. And it's not a hidden gem because there's always a line around the door, but they make chocolate croissants that I don't eat
Ooh.
because I don't eat dairy, but people rave about them.
But I
So,
hear that they're great.
mhm.
So I mean, did this used to be a hidden gem that then got a lot of hype and now it is no longer?
Precisely. And the guy
Ah,
who owns it is super sweet. I see him on the sidewalk all the time. And
ah,
he got some review that was like the best chocolate croissant in Los Angeles from like Eatery or one of the like kind of trendy magazines or Infatuation. And then ever
mm-hmm.
since then, the line around the block, which is really cool because it's like a small local business and it's popping off. And the people that work
Yeah.
there are really sweet. And they have a salted honey latte that's really good.
Ooh, that sounds incredible. Okay, so yeah, it was like a short while or long time coming before they were not a hidden secret anymore and everybody but we congratulate them. We want them to have the best success. Unfortunately, yeah, it might be a little bit more of a wait for the things that you're trying to get over there, but we're
And
happy for them. I like that.
yeah, and they're in Pasadena, so maybe it is still hidden because to the rest of
Okay.
Los Angeles, Pasadena is Egypt. So you
Okay,
got to
so
come
if
out here, far, far
mhm.
away.
Yes, if you're not into bringing along your passport, then don't even worry about it, but otherwise, you have access, so that's all we're worried about right now, so that's great. Well, let's meet Elizabeth Coleman White and Frederick Coville, the duo who domesticated the blueberry. It's the early 1900s in New Jersey. Elizabeth White is managing her family's cranberry farm, but she's fascinated by the little wild blueberries that grow nearby. Meanwhile, Dr. Frederick Coville at the USDA is studying native plants and believes, against all conventional wisdom, that blueberries can be tamed. His research aimed to understand why these wild blueberries were so difficult to cultivate. He identified key requirements like acidic soil, cross pollination, and specific chilling and soil conditions. In 1910, Elizabeth White read a USDA bulletin entitled Experiments in Blueberry Culture, authored by Coville, where he outlined his findings and the possibility of domestication of blueberries. That sparked her interest. She recognized that wild blueberries grew on her family's land, and she thought they might as well be brought into cultivation. She then wrote a letter to Coville and offered the resources land, access to wild bushes, and would hire workers to identify the best wild blueberry plants on her land and nearby areas for his experiments. Letter received, and in 1911, White and Coville teamed up. She brings the land and the local know how. He brings the science. Together, they scout the Pine Barrens looking for the most promising wild plants to breed. Coville studies soil chemistry, pollination, and crossbreeding, while White hires local pickers, often including children, to find wild bushes producing the biggest, tastiest berries. Now, was that child labor? Technically, yep. The Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 wasn't around yet. And a little tea, in 1910, the National Child Labor Committee published a report accusing the White's family's cranberry farm operations of employing children under the age of 14 working long hours during harvest. Apparently, the adults recruited their kids, so what's the problem? Well, we could go further into that, or we could get back to the blueberries. And for the sake of the story, let's get back to the blueberries. These bushes were tagged in the wild, documented, and in many cases, physically transplanted onto her Whitesbog farm so Coville could test them under controlled conditions. From there, the real work began. Coville ran soil experiments confirming that blueberries demanded a highly acidic ground, way more acidic than most crops. He tested mixtures of sand, peat, and sphagnum moss, adjusted pH with sulfur, and monitored how roots behaved in different compositions. And unfortunately, many plants failed simply because the soil was wrong. Josiah, this experimentation sounds like it was a lot of work and pretty frustrating. As a kid at some point or growing up, did you ever conduct any science experiments, maybe in a science fair or just on your own for fun?
This is a horrible story.
Oh
Yeah.
no, horrible as in I might love it or
Yeah, maybe. I don't shouldn't put it out in the world, but here we go.
Oh,
I was
okay.
homeschooled my whole life, so I never did a science fair or anything. But I just
Okay.
think for my this is so sad.
Oh
I I,
no.
I was vegan for like 7 years, so I counteracted this. But we would get grasshoppers and break their legs off.
Oh
I
no.
know it's so sad. We break their legs off, and then because we wanted to help them, and then we would take toothpicks and tape the toothpicks and we give them a cast of the tooth. And I'm like, that's so cruel. Like, why? But and it wasn't
Where
like
did you get this idea?
I don't know. I think like
Oh,
the idea of being like a vet was fun, but we were like, none of these
okay.
animals around us are hurt. So
Let's hurt
let's
them.
yeah, let's wound them.
Oh
It's so,
no.
but it wasn't like let's hurt them. We're gonna like kill them. It was like
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
help them. A little
Uh-huh.
snap and a little break, and a little fix. So there's a little experiment I did, and
Oh
with
no.
time we grow and we change, and we
Mm,
recognize the ways that we need to evolve and
yes.
acknowledge our privilege as humans who are more powerful than grasshoppers and not hurt grasshoppers.
Yes. I love that lessons were learned
Or,
and we have evolved from this. Yeah, that sounds terrifying. Sorry, grasshoppers, but yes, I love the fact that you're like I counterbalanced it. I was vegan. It's okay. Wow. So just to quickly touch on this before we close that story. So once you put the toothpicks, so what happened? Did they walk around like little like
um,
still
well,
walkers or like what was happening?
yeah, I don't think they were doing great. We tried our best. We were
Sure.
on a farm. We didn't have friends. I can picture this one grasshopper like walking on our back deck with the like
Uh-huh.
toothpick leg. I guess really it's not so much a cast because what's the leg gonna do? Like refuse to the body. It's
Right.
more of a like an artificial limb that we gave them. But
Uh-huh.
I think the memory I have is probably not even real and it's just been fabricated in my
Oh,
recollection of this. But I can
okay.
picture one. I don't think they could hop anymore. This is so
Oh.
sad.
Oh
But we're also
no.
covering child labor. So we're not scared to look at difficult things.
And you were a kid. Come
Yeah.
on. Kids do
Well,
weird things. Isn't
I
that what
don't
they say?
know. But there's
Okay.
kids that I know now and they're so gentle and kind and would never do that. And I'm like, oh God, what was wrong with me? That I was like, yeah, and then we'll fix them. Anyways, that's my story.
Listen, again, you were a child. You did not have a fully formed frontal cortex, and today you would never do such a thing.
No,
So,
never. Oh God.
okay, so it's okay. It's okay. But thank you for sharing.
Overbody.
Well, at the same time, Coville investigated pollination and flowering behavior, proving that most blueberry varieties were not self-fertile. The discovery explained why early attempts at cultivation had repeatedly failed. He experimented with cross-pollination, tracked bee activity, and hand-pollinated flowers to study which combinations produced reliable fruit. They also tested propagation methods, figuring out how to grow new plants from cuttings, a notoriously difficult task with blueberries. Coville trialed hardwood and softwood cuttings, different humidity levels, shading techniques, and winter protection to find a method farmers could replicate. By this point, White's Bog was filled with hundreds of experimental seedlings and numbered bushes, each evaluated for berry size, flavor, yield, and timing. Most were rejected. A few, like the wild rhubarb bush discovered in 1912, showed real promise. Every planting season brought new lessons, and every winter brought new losses. But the failures added up to a breakthrough. By 1916, White and Coville had established several dependable cultivars, refined the growing conditions, and produced the world's first commercial harvest of cultivated high-bush blueberries right there in New Jersey. Elizabeth White became one of the first women to lead a major agricultural innovation in America, and Coville's work at the USDA laid the scientific foundation for all modern blueberry breeding. Their years of trial and error transformed a wild, unpredictable fruit into a reliable agricultural crop, laying the foundation for the global blueberry industry. Hooray! Confetti! Josiah, they say if at first you don't succeed, try again. As a creative, there are often times where we need a lot of patience and persistence in a very tough industry. Do you have any particular memory where in your career that really paid off?
Yeah, yes, my whole career. I mean, I started professionally acting or professionally auditioning when I was like 15 years old. And I still talk like this. I was a little country redneck. And I got like Hollywood agent and manager and did a pilot season with my mom in Los Angeles. And I mean, this whole industry, being a performer particularly, is about rejection and then continuing. So I feel like my whole life since 15 and from like 12, I knew, oh, I want to be an actor. I want to be a performer. This is what I'm doing. So I feel like I've been through the ringer of persistence and learning to push past when you don't get the answer that you want, but believing in the thing and going towards it. And I'm so proud of where I am today and so excited for where life is headed. So, I mean, one of my biggest achievements is I did this solo show called Flayed for several years that was kind of based on my life experience and also a dramatization and like entertaining weird clown one-man show. And that was because I kept going to plays and I was like, I want to be on stage. I love being on stage, and I hadn't in several years. And then I created a thing, and then I was on stage and then I made it happen. And so I don't know. Yeah. I feel like my whole career has felt like persistence and continuing to dream bigger than what my present moment presented me. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I find such a cool parallel too with that and your favorite food, blueberry, where it was just, it's a lot of work, a lot of believing in it and keep going and not giving up. And then ta-da, and then you land something and you're like, hell yeah. So, wow, that's very beautiful.
Oddly enough, child labor. I was the child laborer.
There you go. Listen, there by the end of this, we may find so many unique parallels, and you and blueberry might become one. This is only time will tell, but this is pretty fascinating. Well, from there, the blueberry story spread fast. By mid-century, research stations and universities across the US, from Michigan to North Carolina, began developing new cultivars suited for different climates. Highbush blueberries thrived in the Northeast. Rabbit eye varieties took root in the South, and cold-hardy hybrids ruled northern climates, like Maine and Canada. Meanwhile, the wild blueberry, the lowbush variety, remained a cherished regional product, especially in Maine and eastern Canada. Those berries are smaller, darker, and packed with flavor. And to this day, they're largely managed, not planted. Think of them as nature's original recipe, perfected by 10,000 years of evolution. And the rest of the world quickly realized what North America had going on. The first big leap happened in Europe. Cultivated blueberries arrived in the Netherlands in 1923 and Germany in 1924, where growers experimented with the new highbush varieties from the United States and found that, yes, this North American berry could thrive in their acidic pockets of soil. By the mid-20th century, the plant had popped up in New Zealand as well around 1948. By the 1960s, blueberry production was booming. Farms were multiplying, freezer technology made distribution easier, and suddenly Americans could eat blueberries year-round. As breeders developed southern highbush hybrids that could tolerate warmer climates, blueberries began turning up across the southern hemisphere. Chile planted its first commercial fields in the early 1980s, eventually becoming one of the world's leading exporters. Peru followed with rapid expansion decades later. And in the Middle East and North Africa, countries like Morocco built major production systems. And in China, large-scale production took off in the 2010s, with commercial acreage growing fast as consumers embraced the fruit. In the late 20th century, researchers began studying blueberries for their health properties. What they found was stunning. Blueberries are rich in anthocyanins, the compound that give them that deep blue color, and those are powerful antioxidants. Studies from the USDA and other research institutions began linking blueberry consumption to improved heart health, reduced inflammation, better insulin response, and even improved memory and cognitive function in aging adults. Someone pop a little cape on this blueberry because it's really a superfood. Meanwhile, anyone from 10,000 years ago was already saying, duh. Magazines and morning shows couldn't get enough of them. Blueberries turned up in yogurts, cereals, smoothie bars, even face creams. They went from being humble forest fruit to wellness icon. And it wasn't just marketing. Large-scale studies continue to find correlations between blueberry intake and long-term health benefits. Josiah, being a blueberry aficionado in recent years, would you say that there's anything that you've noticed or just felt an overall wellness or believe any of these health benefits that blueberries have?
I mean, like, are they helping my memory? Because my memory can't
I'm
remember a person's name to save
okay.
my life. But
Okay, so maybe
maybe
not
I need
that.
to want some more. I don't know. I think my skin feels pretty healthy. Maybe it's helping my skin. Don't know
Okay.
anything about my insulin response, but yeah, hope it's good. And maybe I'll see the effects when I'm really old, and then
Mm,
I can remember maybe not names, but
mm.
who I am at my core.
Oh, and isn't that what it's all about? That's beautiful. Yes. Okay, so it's not doing anything bad. Whether we can put a stamp of approval on these claims, TBD. But in the meantime, you're enjoying them, and that's all that matters.
Amen.
Okay, so at this point, we've got 10 to 12 wild blueberry species native to North America, 300 to 500 cultivated blueberry cultivars developed by breeders, and 20 to 25 cultivars dominate commercial production worldwide. What could go wrong? Now, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but not all blueberries are created equal. One of the biggest differences: nutrient density. Multiple studies have shown that commercial blueberries can vary quite a bit in their levels of anthocyanins and phenolic compounds, the very antioxidants that made them famous in the first place. Factors like cultivar, growing method, and post harvest handling all matter. Then there's the issue of appearance versus flavor. In the push to please grocery store shoppers, breeders have leaned heavily toward berries that are doing it for the gram. Bigger, firmer, and visually flawless. The kind that survive a cross-country truck ride or look pristine in a clamshell. But studies on dozens of cultivars show that the largest berries aren't always the most flavorful or the most nutritious. In some cases, they carry less anthocyanins simply because there is proportionally more watery flesh and less of that pigment-rich skin. The dark, almost ink-colored berries, the ones that stain your hands, still tend to be among the most nutrient dense, but those aren't always the ones that get prime shelf space. But don't worry, if you need that TLDR list of which to go for, if you want the most nutritious and flavorful ones, I've got you. If you're looking for antioxidant-rich blueberries, older cultivars like Elliott, Rubel, Burlington, and wild lowbush varieties tend to perform best. Now, flavor is subjective, but if you want berries praised for flavor rather than size and shipping durability, go for Jersey, Palmetto, or similar cultivars selected explicitly for taste. Josiah, I remember you mentioned something about like big blueberries and maybe liking those in particular. Have you noticed any differences in the different varieties that you've gotten throughout the years or what have you of flavor, any that you're like, ooh, these taste better or I like these better?
Well, it is interesting because you can get a bad batch. Also, is it called a clamshell? Is that what you called the case?
Yeah, you know the kind that like you open it and it's like that.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening as a podcast, I'm putting my my palms together and kind of making like an alligator looking crocodile thing. That's
Yeah.
how I'm explaining a clamshell apparently, but yeah, that's kind of yeah.
So that's the thing that blueberries live in, is the clam.
In the grocery store, yes, but I guess if you're getting them from a farmer's market, they usually come in those little like
Oh yeah.
mm, green
That's
crates or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well, sorry, I got us off track because I was like, oh, clamshell. I'm calling it a crate, but clamshell is more fun and makes sense. You can get a bad clamshell of blueberries. I recently bought 3 different packs, and I guess it was all from the same batch, and a bunch of them were like kind of like mushy mealy, and then
Ooh.
they taste like dirt when they're like that. It's really sad. And then the few that were not like that were too acidic and like tangy. So
Ah,
you can get a bad batch. I do love the jumbo ones. I love a huge blueberry, and apparently
okay.
that's why I can't remember names because there's
Oh.
not enough adenosine in it. What is the thing in it?
Oh, yeah, anthocyanins.
There
Okay,
it is.
so then maybe this is a great discovery point. Then maybe what we need to do is we need to find you some of the smaller, darker berries and double down on those just to even things out.
Yeah. It's all about evolving.
Listen, I'm telling you, we're learning so much today.
I know. I'm very open. I'm open to change, to growth, and some more adenosine.
Yes. Well, today, blueberries are everywhere. Grown on 5 continents, they're $1 billion industry and one of the most globally traded fruits. The United States remains one of the top producers alongside Canada, Chile, Peru, and Australia. And Maine, still a fortress for wild low-bush berries, where entire communities depend on the harvest each summer. They've even become a cultural symbol. Blueberry festivals pop up in small towns every year. You-Pick farms turn blueberry picking into family outings. And entire local economies celebrate the short but sweet harvest season. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing for the blueberry industry. Climate change threatens growing zones. Late frosts, drought, and shifting pollinator populations, keeping farmers guessing. Labor costs and global competition drive prices up and down. But research continues on more resilient cultivars, sustainable growing practices, and mechanical harvesting techniques that can reduce waste and protect fruit quality. And through it all, one thing stays the same. People love that little blue fruit. Blueberry's story is really one about balance, nature and science, tradition and innovation, wildness and cultivation. It began as a food of the forest, gathered by hand, preserved with care, and honored in ceremony. Then came the experimenters, the botanists, the dreamers, who looked at a stubborn little bush and saw potential. And today, blueberries live in this rare space, both everyday and extraordinary. It's 13,000 years of North American heritage in one blue bite-sized sphere. Josiah, what do you think about the backstory of blueberries?
I mean, fascinating. I didn't realize they feel very spiritual now, which, except for the ones that are bioengineered.
Sure. Yes.
Nutrient.
Less spiritual. Yes.
Those are what I'm drawn to. So there's a lot of self-reflection that I've got to do. It's fascinating. It's so cool. Also, I love the story of the curious farmer's daughter and the botanist. And I think we've got a limited series that we could develop there.
Listen, I will come on as a producer for that. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Taylor Swift is doing the theme song, and we're set.
Perfect. It's a real full circle moment. Yeah, it is pretty crazy that this was such an ancient fruit. And I know that that's over 100 years ago, but it still kind of doesn't feel that long ago. That in the 1910s is when like blueberries really started to gain traction as like a commercial product, where it was just a very wild product before. So yeah, that was pretty fascinating to me. And then even up until like the 60s and 80s, where it became more international, I was like, what the heck? 60s and 80s, and then the 2010s in China, like what? So it's had quite the journey. Yeah,
it's so interesting to think of like a farmed product as a business, which of course it is. But I don't know, when I think of business, sometimes I'm like, well, then tech, like the tech world is business, and or Wall Street. But then there was a lady who was like, yeah, I'm working in blueberries and it's going really well. And then it did go really well, like spread across the world. That's so weird and crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, if nothing else, everybody out there, dream big. If you have a dream, sky or beyond's the limit. And just find somebody who works at the USDA to help you out. That's all you need.
That's the ticket.
Well, you can bet this little berry has made its way into some pop culture moments. The song Blueberry Hill, first published in 1940, became very popular when Fats Domino recorded it in 1956.
I found my thrill on Blueberry Hill.
Blueberries for Sal is a classic children's picture book written and illustrated by Robert McCloskey in 1948. The story is set in Maine, following the adventures of a young girl named Sal and a bear cub named Little Bear as they both go blueberry picking with their mothers before winter. In the 1971 movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka shows his guests a piece of gum that's a 3-course dinner. One of the children, Violet Beauregard, snatches the gum from his hands and eats it despite his warning not to eat it. It pays to listen because this gum was not ready for the public and turns Violet into a massive blueberry. General Mills introduced Blueberry, the first blueberry-flavored cereal, in December 1972, which was then released nationally in February 1973. On November 13th, 2023, a Guinness record for the heaviest blueberry ever grown went to a farm in Australia, Costa Group in New South Wales. They grew a blueberry of the variety Eterna, weighing, Josiah, would you like to venture a guess of how much this blueberry weighed in grams, or if it's easier, maybe guessing the diameter of it?
I'm going to say like 72 grams.
Oh, well, I would love to see that, and that's ambitious. So it was a little more petite than that. It weighed 20.4 grams and was 39.31 millimeters in diameter, or 1.5 inches. So to kind of like conceptualize that, it's bigger than like a tablespoon of butter. It's not something to sneeze at. It's a pretty big blueberry, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning like, I know grams.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, I would love to see it. On September 29th, 2024, the Guinness record for the most blueberries eaten in 1 minute went to Andre Orthoff from Germany. Okay, we're just going to jump back into our guessing game one last time. Can you guess how many blueberries he ate in 1 minute?
417.
Oh, I love your gusto for this. Maybe you should take Andre up on this challenge. I mean, this was 2024, so 2026 may be your year. He ate 135 blueberries in 1 minute. But I think in 1 minute, like 135, like that might be a lot.
Yeah, I can't really conceptualize. I guess I don't understand numbers, but I mean, my ex-boyfriend and I down that whole clamshell.
I know. So listen,
how many's in a clamshell?
This is what we have to figure out, and then we can extrapolate. So we figure out how many come in this pack, right? And how long did it take you to eat that? And then we say, all right, in 1 minute, can I do at least just more than 135? Because that's the record. So all you have to do is, like, technically, I think 136. So I think you can do it. Yeah. Okay.
117.
What is it?
I'm going to do 417.
Yeah. It's recorded. It's here. So let's aspire to that. But if not, even if you make 136, you could be the... Josiah, I want this for you so much. Could we do this?
Yeah.
And by we, I mean you. Well, and wouldn't you know that July 8th is National Blueberry Day? Have you been celebrating?
Never in my life, but I sure will this year.
Put it on the calendar. Josiah, can you think of any other moments in pop culture where blueberries made a mark, or just any final words that you have about your favorite food?
I'm going to love you, blueberries. I'm going to find some smaller, darker ones, and I'm going to remember everyone's name as an elder. And I appreciate your wonderful research. It's such a fascinating story. Modern agriculture. How about it?
Hell yeah. Well, Josiah, thank you so much for sharing your love of blueberries and helping me to tell its story.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was such a cool time.
Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.